and welcome here to Talk FCB, and welcome here to the first La Liga preview of the new season. I am incredibly excited to start the new season with you guys, and hopefully it will be a very, very successful one for all of us, for the club. And here today we are going to be previewing the game between Barcelona and Alaves, kicking off on Saturday night, live from the Camp Nou. Let's do this. So firstly guys, thank you to you all for getting involved in my pre-match poll. Of course, I do like to know your predictions. An incredible 48% of you, very nearly half, believe that Barcelona tomorrow will win the game by 3 goals, and a very, very low number believe that we'll draw or even lose the game, just 1% there, and really not many think that we'll win by 1 goal. It's going to be more convincing, that's what we all hope anyway, and tomorrow at the Camp Nou, hopefully the boys won't disappoint. Kick-off, like I say, will be coming to us Saturday night at the Camp Nou at 10:15 local time, which does seem to be, in La Liga, a very, very late kick-off time, especially for those locals. Obviously it's a Saturday night, but that still is, really, really late local time. Here are, guys, the times right around the world where you are. I know that it's not easy right now. Not every single country has the rights to La Liga. Here in the UK, we're struggling as well. But wherever you are, I hope that you get to have a look at the game, and hopefully it's going to be a good one. Elsewhere, on the opening weekend in La Liga, Real Madrid will be facing Getafe at home on Sunday night, and also Atletico Madrid will be in action. A very, very difficult first fixture for them. They will go to Valencia on Monday evening in what is probably the game of the weekend. To the Mestalla, Valencia against Atletico. That's going to be an absolute cracker. But back now to the task in hand. Barcelona against Alaves, the first game of the new season. We want to kick ourselves off and get off on the right foot, retain our title. That's exactly what we want to do, and it starts at Alaves. That's the first of our 38 games. We've got to take one game at a time. We've got to go through every game with the same intensity, going for the win. That's the only way we know at Barcelona, and we are coming into the game with a pretty good feeling, with some good confidence. Obviously in pre-season the results weren't brilliant, but we did have a lot of players that weren't there. In the Super Cup, of course, against Sevilla, we came through that game, got our hands on our first trophy of the season by 2-1, and then on Wednesday in the Joan Gamper Trophy against Boca Juniors, we were very good again. 3-0 on the night, a good confidence builder. And also, speaking of that Gamper game, Ernesto Valverde would have had an excellent opportunity there to really evaluate and see what players he wants to have in this team. We saw 22 players take to the field against Boca Juniors, and Valverde now will know the players that he wants to see week in, week out in this team, and that's what we're going to see against Alaves. Speaking of Alaves, meanwhile, they certainly haven't had a fantastic pre-season in terms of results, but they have been very, very busy indeed. They have played a total of 8 pre-season matches, whereas we have only played half that amount. We played 4, 3 in America and 1 technically in the Joan Gamper Trophy. So Alaves have been busy in this build-up to the new season. They drew 5 of those 8 games, losing the next one, but in August they have started to get it together. They started coming together as a team, and they did start with a 1-0 win over Oviedo in August, then an impressive win against Real Sociedad by 2-1. Having said that though, they did lose to newly promoted Huesca last Sunday, so that's very interesting there to see how Alaves are getting on, and it is difficult to know really what we're going to expect from Alaves. They do arrive at the Camp Nou often in good spirits. They always seem to raise their game in front of our fans, and in the season before last, of course, they enjoyed a really good season, no relegation troubles whatsoever, and even in that season they reached the Copa del Rey final to face ourselves, which was a comfortable win on the night for Luis Enrique's men. But if you actually look at last season from Alaves' perspective, it was a very, very mixed bag right throughout the season. They had a really, really bad start, bordering on shambolic start of the season. They looked relegation favourites for a long, long time, right up until Christmas really, and it was only when the ex-Barcelona centre-back, the ex-Sporting Gijón coach Abelardo came in that he did turn it round. The entire team was playing a lot better with a lot more belief, and in 2018 they had some really, really good results, so we should certainly be wary of them. We understand what they can do, we've seen it in the past, but looking here at our previous meetings, we should generally go into this game with some good confidence. Obviously I've already mentioned that Copa del Rey final. We faced Alaves back in 2017, which was Luis Enrique's last trophy at the club. That was a comfortable 3-1 win on the night for Barca. We've also faced them 4 times in the league in total since they were promoted back to the Liga in 2016. 3 of those times have been wins, some of them very comfortable indeed, but that one game, of course, that we didn't win back in 2016, the first game of Alaves Alaves since they were back in La Liga at the Camp Nou, and they beat us 2-1. It was a very shock victory, arguably one of the biggest shocks of the entire season, winning at the Camp Nou 2-1. We can't let that happen again. Let that be a stern lesson to every single one of our players. We can't afford to take our eye off the ball. You can't afford to just turn up here and win games, especially not in the first game of the season. Everybody comes out, they're fresh, they're firing, they're motivated. We have to be on it here, even if it is only Alaves, even if technically we have a very good record against them. We're in our home stadium, a lot of confidence flowing right now. We've still got to go there, do what we need to do, and win this game. And Valverde certainly echoed those thoughts really in his press conference earlier this evening. He basically said that Alaves always come to the Camp Nou and they perform and they raise their level. They've got a distinct style. He spoke a lot about the way that Alaves would look to approach this game. He was also asked about all three competitions. Obviously, a lot of emphasis potentially this season on the UEFA Champions League. But Valverde basically said that we're going to address all three competitions that we are involved in right throughout the season with the same intensity. He said that we'll fight for each of those competitions equally and we'll try and apply ourselves in every single game. And that was very interesting as well to hear there from Valverde. Valverde was also asked about potential games, obviously abroad. La Liga announcing that there will be games played in the near future in the United States. Valverde was asked clearly about that, and he said at first it seemed weird to play games abroad, but we also played the Super Cup this year in a different country, obviously Barcelona facing Sevilla in Morocco. He said the world of football is becoming huge and we will have to see what happens in the future and how it all works. And one thing also that I will point out before I go on to the squad in just a minute, he was also asked, Munir or Alcácer, who do you trust more in the coming season? Valverde replied to it, we will see throughout the season, we'll have to analyse their performances. And with that, we will now move on to the official squad announcement for this game and the players that Valverde has chosen to face Alaves. And there are one or two surprises in here that I do want to talk with you guys, and as you'll see in my potential lineups very, very shortly. We have got Ter Stegen, Semedo, Piqué is back even though he missed a day of training this week, Rakitic, Busquets, Coutinho, Arthur, Suarez, Messi, Dembele, Rafinha, Silas, Malcolm, Longley, Alba, Roberto, Vidal and Umtiti are all in the squad. Now Carlos Alenia and Denis Suarez have both been omitted from this squad simply because of injury, so that's absolutely confirmed on those two. It is only injury that's keeping them out of the squad. While Paco Alcácer, Munir El Haddadi, Vermaelen and Sergi Samper have all been left out due to tactical reasons. And that's very, very interesting indeed that Ernesto Valverde in the first squad of the season would leave out both Paco Alcácer and Munir El Haddadi. So in that squad right now, we do only have one recognised centre forward, that is Luis Suarez. And as I'm going to come on to in the lineups very shortly, that does have several permutations. Because originally, guys, this is how I was expecting really Valverde to line up against Alaves. Ter Stegen in goal, of course, Alba and I think Roberto will be at right back, even though obviously there's still debate going on whether it should be Roberto or Semedo. Then Umtiti and Piqué at centre half. That's very, very solid. Now I wouldn't be surprised to see Valverde go with a 4-2-3-1 formation at home against a team like Alaves. Rakitic and Busquets holding, that could easily be Arthur, but I expect Valverde to sort of go with what he knows, what he's used to, what he's experienced with in the past season. Then Coutinho, Messi, Dembele and Luis Suarez as the four attack-minded players capable of scoring goals, capable of creating and all pretty flexible in that system. However, the lack of a centre forward on the bench does bring me on to maybe think either Suarez is definitely starting and he's the undisputed number 9 and he's going to be in the team and his place is not under threat, or does that simply mean perhaps that Luis Suarez could be on the bench tomorrow and therefore we don't need another striker on the bench? And if indeed Suarez is going to be on the bench tomorrow, like I said, I've got no idea what's going to happen one way or another. I personally think Ernesto Valverde will stick with Suarez, and rightly so. I think he got to have the chance to turn his form around. But if he didn't start tomorrow, I wouldn't also be surprised to see this. Lionel Messi in this sort of position here, taking up that false 9 role. You know that he likes to drop in. Coutinho more in a midfield 3. And then you've got Malcolm who can play easily on either side. So can Dembele if they want to. They can swap wings during the game. And obviously then you've got a lot of legs, a lot of ability to get in behind, give Messi options, stretch the pitch as much as possible, force Alaves back and create the space for these players in midfield to really assert our dominance. It's going to be very interesting tomorrow to see what Ernesto Valverde does. Those two omissions, Munir and Paco together, that was a surprise. I was expecting to have at least one striker on the bench if we needed it. Can we read more into that? We are going to have to wait and see what happens tomorrow night. But either way, I am very excited for it. But of course, guys, like in every preview, there has to be a prediction at the end of it, and I tomorrow are going to go with Barcelona 3, Alaves 0. I'm going to back us tomorrow at the Camp Nou in front of our own fans. Hopefully a fantastic atmosphere to start the season. Hopefully we start in an emphatic manner, score some goals, be on the front foot, be the Barcelona that we all know and love, and really captivate us heading into this new season in what should be a very, very successful campaign. Leave your thoughts down below, guys. Leave your predictions for both the score and the team. And of course, I will see you tomorrow for the big game itself. But until then, as always, Vasca el Barça!